Hello everyone, it's Megan O, and this is your 2023 Market Recap and 2024 Market Predictions. All right, let's first start with 2023. What happened in 2023 in Dallas-Fort Worth in the real estate market? Well, to just kind of conserve time and make sure we can get to our predictions, we're only going to focus on two counties. That would be Collin County, the most expensive of the 5 major counties for Dallas-Fort Worth, and of course, Dallas County, the second most expensive county. Okay, first up, we're going to talk about average price. So in Collin County, the average price for all of 2023 was $577,606. That is 2.9% down year over year from 2022 to 2023. That is partly because the beginning of 2022 was still what we call the COVID market, and it did linger through a bit of 2022 before we really started to see the changes at the tail end of 22. All right, Dallas County's average price for all of 2023, that is $517,108. That is 4.4% higher than 2022. So a year over year gain of 4.4% for Dallas County's average price for the entire county. Now let's talk about days on market and how that shifted and changed in both Collin and Dallas counties in 2023. And that is highly because we were coming out of that COVID market and beginning to move into a transitioning market through 2023. Those transitioning markets take anywhere from 6 to 18 months, usually more like 18 months. So in this case, we started to see it at the end of 22 and it definitely went through 23. So the average days on market for Collin County for the entire year was 43 average days, 79.2% higher. Of course, because in 2022, we had ridiculous 1 day, 0 day, and sometimes 5 days, right? You know, it was very, very, very low days on market in 2022 for Collin County. Now, Dallas County, average days on market for the entire year of 23 was 35, and that's 52.2% higher than in 2022. So inventory in Dallas did move quicker off the shelf than it did in Collin County this last year. All right, next up, we're going to move to the number of new listings that hit the market. That's telling us how many people actually placed their property for sale, and then how many, we'll talk to you about in a moment, closed in this last year. So in Collin County, the number of new listings was 19,123 for 2023. That is 3.5% lower than in 2022. So we actually had more inventory in 2022, even though it did move faster in 2022, and people thought we didn't have a lot of inventory because it moved so fast. The reality is we actually had less new homes come to market for sale in 23 than we did in 22. Now in Dallas County, it was 28,297 new listings, and that was 5.5% down between 23 and 22. So a much greater number of new listings that came to market in Dallas County in 2022 than in 2023. And again, you might think, well, how is that possible? It was flying off the shelf, and it was. It wouldn't stay very long back in 22. But in 23, it did sit there for an average of 35 days in Dallas County. Now, the very last metric we're going to look at is closed sales. Closed sales in Collin County were 15,025 for the entire year, and that was a 2% gain over 2022. In Dallas County, it was 20,290 closed sales for a 13% decline in the year over year. So we actually had less inventory close in Dallas County than we actually had come to market. So that meant in Dallas County in 2023, which we saw this to be accurate, properties were coming to market and sitting a lot longer than, and some didn't even close. Some didn't close at all. They would just sit. Others did close, but it was a lot less. So overall for 2023, our recap is that the number of sellers that came to market in Collin County were less, but the buyers took a large portion of those off the market, and they took time to do that because of the lending environment, right? The buyers would come in, they would make their choice, but they wouldn't immediately jump on it. They would take their time and maybe make an offer a week or two later. Eventually, inventory would move a little bit faster in Collin County, or a little bit more in Collin County than in Dallas County. It took a little bit longer, but more inventory closed out in Collin than in Dallas. And at 2% more listings that came to market in Collin over Dallas for 2023. And just to recap, for 2023 in Dallas County, homes sold for more average price than they did in 2022, but it did take buyers longer in Dallas County, and not all of them actually closed in Dallas County. But overall, our inventory in both counties is sitting in a good position for what's about to happen in 2024. All right, let's talk about our 2024 predictions. So for 2024, if you're a buyer, no more FOMO. Get out there and buy a property. Let's not sit on the sidelines. Why? Well, the number one reason is because our appreciation is now going to return to its average normal appreciation gain that we would have seen pre-pandemic. So back around that 5.48%. And if you've been watching me on social media, I've been talking to you about home appreciation and what it normally typically is. It's predicted through the Texas A&M Real Estate Center and Lawrence Yun, National Association of Realtors economist, that it's going to hit back at the 5.48% for this year, which is the average. So just to get your average appreciation in a property, you need to jump in now. That means, again, you want to hold it for a longer period of time before you make a sale so that you can actually gain that appreciation year over year. But don't wait, because those prices are going to increase and we are going to be in a seller's market for a couple more years. Now, that brings me to my second point. Sellers, get in this market, and get in this market before the election. I'll come back to that. So right now, a seller's market is defined as a market that has inventory less than 6 months worth of inventory. That means there's not enough homes available for all of the buyers in the Metroplex. Again, we're hovering in Dallas and Collin counties around that 3-month mark. 3, sometimes a little bit less, depending on the month in which we're pulling that data. Of course, spring can be a little bit less than that. But right now, that's what it's looking at. And that inventory that is sitting there is available for the buyers, but we still have more buyers than we actually have homes. So with the projected rate cuts that the feds have already announced that will happen in 2024, those rates are going to come down. As of today's recording, it's 6.6% is the current interest rate. It's going to continue to come down. It will probably be somewhere between 5 and 6% later in the year, and that's going to create a little bit of a frenzy. And overall, though, 5% is pretty normal interest rate if you take a 30-year history of the interest rates over time. That 5% is pretty typical. So as the interest rates come down, the buyers are going to have an opportunity to jump in the market and grab hold of those properties. That's going to create a frenzy. So if you're a seller and you need to get on market and you want a bidding war, get on the market now. Get on in our spring market, get on in our summer market, get on in the fall before the election. Okay? Now, future growth, what does that look like for Dallas-Fort Worth? Well, it's going to keep us in a seller's market for a couple of years, and here's some reasons why. First, a little history. Over the last 2 years, we've added 9.2% job creation in Texas alone for the entire state. Pre-pandemic numbers were at 12 million jobs. Now we're at 15 million jobs after 2023. What does that mean specifically? It just means more people, thus we need more housing. Let's take Dallas, city of Dallas, just as an example. Dallas alone went from 2.6 million jobs pre-pandemic to 3.1 million jobs in 2023. That's the size of 8 AT&T stadiums filled to capacity in just 2 to 3 years. That is a crazy amount of growth just for the area of Dallas. That's not counting all of the metroplexes around it. Now, 6 years ago, in Texas formed the Texas Economic Development Board. That was 2017, guys. And the reason they did that was so that they could have an organization, a governmental body that could help all these major corporations go through that process to transfer They're a corporation from another state here. So we got companies coming from San Francisco, San Diego, Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, all coming to Texas. What did that mean? Well, it meant 66 corporations relocated their headquarters to Austin, 32 to Dallas, and 25 to Houston, with more predictions of further continued growth for Dallas-Fort Worth, not necessarily Austin or Houston. So we still have companies projecting their move over the next several years to Dallas-Fort Worth. What does that mean? More people, more jobs, we need more houses. So in the end, what we're going to see is a lot of pent-up demand from people for the last 2 years that were sitting on the sidelines, waiting to buy, waiting to sell, that are going to start transacting in 2024 before the election, because that's always the time, those last couple months of the year, where people tend to get a little nervous in an election year and don't transact. They don't necessarily do anything. So if you want to get into the frenzy as a buyer, get in now before the market really heats up. And as a seller, position your property to be there when the market does heat up. That's our 2024 prediction. We'll see you next time. I'm Megan O, a realtor and a certified divorce real estate expert with Compass Real Estate.